action.
We're good? All right. Hello, Clovis. I don't know how many people are on right now, but my name is Sergeant Jim Monroe with the Clovis Police Department. I'm here in our dispatch center. We'll give it a little bit of time for everybody to log on and get going, but we want to give everybody a tour of our dispatch center and have everybody learn what it's like to be a 911 dispatcher, because not everybody gets to see a dispatch center. So behind me, I have PSO Ty Wood, who's sitting at the dispatch console currently, and then dispatcher Stacy in the back as well. They're going to help us out tonight and give us a little bit of a tour. So before we get going, as we're waiting for people to log on, we want to let you know that we are currently hiring for the dispatcher position. It's on our city website. It's under Public Service Officer. I'm sorry, Police Service Officer. It's a great position. We're hiring both full-time and part-time. So if that's something that's ever interests you, now's the time to apply. That closes on February 29th of this month. So you have a few days to get your application in. And hopefully, as we go through here, if you have questions about what it's like to be a dispatcher, we can answer those for you. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to PSO Ty Wood, who's going to give you a little bit more information about the center, how it runs, and how we make things work here.
Good evening. Right now it looks like we have about 136 viewers, which is fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us on our inaugural live session. Again, we're at our Clovis Police Department Dispatch Center, where we currently have 5 police service officers answering your calls and dispatching officers to calls for service. We have 9 stations, which we will see just momentarily. They are all set up the same. They're terminals. That way any dispatcher can come in, sit down in any terminal, and do their job, whether it's be on radio, speaking to the officers, dispatching their units for calls for service, or assisting officers on the self-initiated calls that they're on, whether it's a subject check, a traffic stop, or something like that. As you hear in the background, our lines are ringing, and during the tour, we'll go through what it looks like and what happens when you call 911, and hopefully we'll get to answer some questions. So again, thank you so much for joining us. We're up to 183 viewers, so thank you very much. We're going to pan around right down this breezeway right here. Again, we are in our dispatch center. We're on the 2nd floor. Most law enforcement agencies, they're in the bottom basement, just like our old department. One of the great designs of our current police department, which we've been in since 2003, is our dispatchers get to dispatch from upstairs, where we have a beautiful view, except at night, of Clovis and the mountains, but it's still quiet and soundproof. Again, like I said, we have 9 dispatcher stations. If we can pan just to the right where that red light is, that means that dispatcher is on the phone, so we're trying not to be too loud. Whether it's an emergency 911 line or a non-emergency line, we do have protocols to answer them by priority and specific questions and things like that. Again, we have 5 dispatchers currently working right now. At any time, mattering on the time of day and the day of the week, based upon calls for service in years past, we will have anywhere from 7 dispatchers down to 2 to 3 dispatchers, mattering on meal times and things like that, like I said, and also times of the day and days of the week. For special events such as the rodeo, parades, the marathon, the big half marathon that we had this last Sunday, we will have an extra dispatcher on just for those extra calls for service and things like that. We're going to pan back around to our dispatch terminal, which I was sitting at just a minute ago. Every terminal is the same, like I said. We have over 100 cameras in our city, and we'll go through that if we have some time. We have cameras in and around our department just for security purposes. We also have cameras at our intersections, our parks, inside of our jail, and anywhere else, such as in the Old Town area for bars that will assist our officers when they're responding. Our dispatchers can actually zoom in and get information that was not transmitted from witnesses. We have 7 911 lines for emergency purposes. And then we have a total of, I believe, about 14 non-emergency lines. And again, each terminal is set up the same, where we have 9 monitors as far as our computer-aided dispatch, which is called CAD for short, which we currently use. And then the officers have mobile dispatch terminals on Toughbooks in their vehicles, where they can communicate and get information as well. Like Sergeant Monroe said, we are hiring. The closing date is the end of this month, so make sure to log on to cityofclovis.com under employment, and it has all of our employment opportunities that are open. It has the requirements, such as a typing certificate for 40 or 45 words per minute and things like that. So we are going to see if there's any questions right now from the public that we know of. I don't know. Right now we have 270 viewers, which is great.
So we actually do have some questions, which is great. As questions are coming through, we'll try and answer as many as we can. So someone asked, how many calls per day do we have? Now we can tell you how many calls approximately per day we dispatch, and that goes anywhere from 300 to 400 that we actually dispatch for the officers. So every day varies. Last night was an extremely busy night, and we get more calls than we have tonight. Tonight's actually, I don't want to say the quiet word, but it's been pretty nice. So with that said, we'd like to kind of bring you over here a little bit more, have you meet Stacy, who's actually on the radio right now talking to the officers. She is the lifeline to all the officers out there, and as you can see, she's talking to them now and giving direction on where to go and what to look for. So as we're here in the dispatch center, Stacy is the one person that is currently on our police dispatch channel. Everybody else here is a call taker currently, and they switch roles as the night goes on, but let you kind of listen in and see what she's doing here for a moment.
2 call 11 10 4.
Where did you retire from?
Can you see if you can get a last name, please?
As you can tell from what Stacy's doing, our dispatchers, our PSOs work very well together, where they are researching names, locations, vehicles, anything pertinent to the officer's call for service. Whether it's a disturbance or a barking dog, we always do our due diligence to try to serve our citizens as best as possible. Another great thing about our dispatch center is every single terminal is what is called a sit-stand station. So for ergonomical purposes, because people are here from anywhere from 8 to 12 to 15 hours a day, mattering on their shift or if they're serving overtime. It gets a little bit old to sit or stand for that length of time. They have that option to just kind of stretch and move their feet around so they're not locked into one position, which overall is better for their health.
So looking at some of the questions that are on here, somebody asked how often do we ask for assistance from other agencies, other counties? And of course that depends on the night, depends on what's going on. Typically in Clovis we'll have a very good amount of police officers to handle the city, but every now and then we do have to ask for assistance from Fresno PD, Fresno SL. But just so you know, we do dispatch primarily or only for the Clovis Police Department. So everybody you see here is working for the Clovis Police Department and dispatches only for the Clovis Police Department. Looking at other questions here, how do we deal with people that call that maybe don't speak English? Ty, you want to take that?
Definitely, yeah. Through AT&T, which is our service provider for all of our phones, that they're available 24 hours a day for law enforcement purposes, we do have a language line. If we do not currently have a dispatcher that speaks, for example, Spanish or whatnot, we will turn it over to our language line, and it's a matter of seconds before we get connected with a English to whatever language translator that we need, and we can go through the interpreter via the telephone, whether, like I said, it's a not emergency or an emergency call.
Let's walk over a little bit closer to Stacy. She's going to answer a few questions. So Stacy, some of the questions are coming in, trying to get to all of them, but tell us, what's it like to be a dispatcher?
It's a fun job. We're a large community, so we all work together. We try to help each other out. We don't just leave one person to do all the work. If somebody's struggling or tired, we kind of step in and help them out. We help out our officers. Our officers are never out there alone. We're always backing them up and getting them information. We dig and try to find as much information as we can for them. So it's a very challenging but fun job at all times.
And so when someone calls 911, most people know that they call 911, they don't know what happens on the other end of the call. Can you kind of explain what happens as far as when they dial 911? Who answers?
Well, what it is 911 comes in as multiple lines. So whoever's on the phone just presses our priority button, and that person gets the first 911 call that comes in. And then we just say 911, state your emergency. If it's a medical response, we get what's going on. We make sure the patient's breathing. If they're not breathing, then we send an officer, code 3, to assist ambulance in case they're further out than maybe an officer is. If they have a police matter that's possibly happening in Fresno, we get their address. We stay on the line with them. We transfer them to Fresno, give Fresno the address, and make sure that Fresno they're safe in Fresno's hands with their dispatch.
Someone's got a good question, kind of a funny question. They said, are you happy with your job?
Yes, I love my job. There's excitement every day. You don't come to this job and just say, oh, today we're going to do this paperwork. Every day, every call, every time you press the button, it's something different. There's never really the same thing happening.
So, Stacy, here's a question. What if your cell phone accidentally calls 911? What should you do? Should you stay on the phone? Should you hang up? What are we requesting from our citizens?
We do receive a lot of 911 open lines. We track them on our map to see kind of the location, and then we track them on our map to see the location. We stay on the line to see if there's any signs of disturbance or if we can hear anything in the background. And then if they do hang up, then we call them back and we advise them to call 911 if they have an emergency or a non-emergency line. If you call 911 and you're still on the phone, we request that you stay on the phone. Just let us know that there's no emergency and verify your address, because I might be a different dispatcher than who's dispatching, so we need to know which address that phone number comes to. And no one is in trouble. We just like to know the address so that way we can clear the call off the board and don't have to send an officer if there's not an emergency.
And someone's asking, when cell phone 911 calls come in, are we able to identify location and where they are sometimes?
In some of the newer cell phones, we can't pinpoint to the exact location. It will ping off of a tower. So sometimes it comes in that area. We can get a lat long, which is in meters and percentages, so we can provide that to the officer. And then they can go out to that area and check to see maybe if somebody's standing on the corner trying to wave an officer down maybe, or if they had an emergency.
And how much training is required to become a dispatcher? What's it take to apply? And then once you actually get hired, what's the training program like?
So to apply, you would fill out the application, and then you do have to take a dispatch test. It's geared towards dispatching, so it's generic questions and answers and kind of see how long you can remember different things. And then once you go through the hiring process, you go into training. It's about 6 months to a year training, and we do all different kinds of things to train us and prepare us for this job. You sit along with different dispatchers. They teach you how to answer different calls. You also go to a dispatch academy that's 3 weeks long, and they teach you different skills on how to talk to disgruntled people or how to help the mother who is crying, and to give you different skills to get you through the call to assist them to the officers.
Great. All right, well, let Stacy get back to her work. We're going to come back over to Ty, who's sitting here at a dispatch console. Ty's going to kind of go through the city cameras. We have a network of over 350 city cameras here in the city of Clovis, which keep people safe. One of the neat things about being a dispatcher is that you don't just get to stare at computer screens, but you actually get to help in fighting crime every single day, every single night. These dispatchers are up here. They are monitoring our city cameras. They're able to help us out, and they track down people leaving stores, stealing all the time. So it's kind of a really neat network. So Ty, by the way, I don't know if you know, but Ty is the one on the other side of the computer that runs our social media program. So everything you see on Facebook, Twitter, Nextdoor, this is the guy that's posting. He does a phenomenal job. He also moonlights in dispatch every now and then. So I'll let Ty go through the cameras and give you a little heads up how that works.
Great. Like Sergeant Monroe said, we have more than 350 cameras citywide. Several of them for security purposes are in and around the police department, including our temporary holding facility downstairs, which is on the top monitor. You have one of our jail officers doing a jail check to make sure that all the jails are clean and secure at this time. On my lower monitor, we are having a matrix of the intersections that we cover, and what we can do is, if there's a collision or some type of a call for service, for example, we have this camera up at Clovis and Herndon. Because of clarity purposes, when color blurs at night, most of the cameras will change to black and white so we can get more detail. But we are able to scan the intersection. There's McDonald's at Clovis and Shaw right there. And then right now we're looking at Shaw west of Clovis Avenue. We can zoom in close enough to get license plates, descriptions of drivers, say in case you dial 911 for a possible drunk driver, when the dispatcher is asking you questions, we can follow up with that information, or if you happen to turn off, we may be able to pick that vehicle up at another intersection that we have cameras at. This is very beneficial for the officers because we get a lot of calls for service throughout the city where we do have access to cameras. For examples, at the bars in Old Town Clovis where a lot of people patron, we might get a fight call, and we have cameras both on Clovis Avenue and in the alleyway where if someone dials 911 from inside the bar and we hear a lot of disturbances or loud noises, we may not be able to get detailed information. However, the dispatcher, one of their partners, can zoom in on the cameras, get clothing and subject descriptions, make sure anyone is not having any kind of a weapon for officer safety purposes, and they can direct the officers to even a better location using the cameras, which is one reason that we work so well together. Are there any other questions that we're coming up live on that we can see?
Well, they want to know, how do we use the camera to catch criminals?
How do we use the camera to catch criminals? Like I said, one reason is we can review the cameras after the fact, so they do record for a certain amount of time after. If we know that a crime occurred in a certain area that we do have a camera, we can utilize our recording system and get the officer the needed recording for whether it's a suspect or maybe a hit and run or a drunk driver or some type of a disturbance. We do have the availability to, like I said, record off of those cameras, and that can be used as evidence in the officer's case.
Well, we see we have almost 400 viewers, and we want to thank you for tuning in. This is our first live broadcast. This is a new feature that Facebook is offering. We will do more, and in fact, I think we can almost do another one at the dispatch center. It seems like it's been working pretty good. So, with that said, I know Ty wants to encourage everybody to social media, right?
Yes, like us on Facebook under Clovis Police Department, California. You can follow us on Twitter for Clovis Police_CA. We're always available on Nextdoor at nextdoor.com if you sign up in your neighborhood. And of course, download our new free app for smartphones. You can search it under the Google Play Store or the Apple iOS Store at Clovis Police Department Mobile. It's a free app. It gives you great contact information. You can check alerts like we've sent out today for a missing at-risk juvenile. Look at crime maps throughout your area for your neighborhoods. Contact officers or corporals assigned to your area. Register your bicycle. Provide anonymous tips. What else am I missing?
I think you pretty much covered everything. The big thing is, if you want to know what's going on in Clovis, the app is really for you. It's free. It's in the iOS store, in the Android store, and in fact, when we were about to go live tonight, we put a little alert out. We actually put an alert out earlier today about a at-risk missing juvenile that's still outstanding and we're still looking for. So I think with that said, that's probably going to conclude our live broadcast from the Dispatch Center. We hope that you learned something. We hope that you enjoyed it. Based on some of the comments I saw, it looks like you did. So we're always trying to think outside the box, be creative. It's with the assistance of you, the citizens of Clovis, and everybody that works here that we keep this a very safe city, and we really appreciate all the help that we get every single day. So with that, we're going to sign off. We want to say thank you for watching, and please send us a message if you have any other ideas of what you may want to see live, because we're always trying to come up with something creative. So hopefully you enjoyed this. Stay safe, and thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it.